Chapter 19, Kitsune Lair. Still in anguish over the events in Izumo, Corrin is shocked to find his path blocked by enemy forces. The only option is a risky climb.
Hey! Big brother. It can't be.
Ah. No.
Huh?
Listen. Hey. Truly. I don't know.
Yeah. You'll be all right.
Well...
Huh? Nice to meet you. Oh.
You.
I'm Kaden.
I see. No.
Huh?
Listen.
What was that? Yeah! No!
Welcome to the Fox map, which may be the most reviled map in all of Fates. Actually, some people dislike a number of the late game stages in Conquest, but I mostly disagree with them. If you learn how those maps work and you engage with their mechanics, They can all be a lot of fun, but this one is pretty bad. In 2D Mario games, whenever the designers are building a level that introduces a new gameplay idea, they usually follow a particular formula. First, they introduce the idea in a safe, non-threatening way. Second, there's some elaboration. Either the mechanic becomes more complex, or the level adds a degree of danger with enemies or hazards. After that escalation, you're asked to deal with a gimmick and face some significant threats at the same time. And at the end, a final encounter with a boss or a group of enemies usually integrates an even trickier version of the mechanic. Kitsune Lair tries to follow that formula. The principal gimmick in this stage is the illusion or leaf mechanic, wherein the enemies switch in and out of a hidden state denoted by a leaf icon. When hidden, the enemies can move, but they can't attack you and you can't attack them. The foxes that use this mechanic switch between the two states at the beginning of each enemy phase. In effect, the kitsune come out of hiding to attack you, and then they're vulnerable for the following player phase before they hide again. We're first shown how this works by a single solitary kitsune right next to our starting position. This guy has unremarkable stats. In fact, the only thing remarkable about him is that he's an enemy in Conquest Lunatic mode who has no skills whatsoever. But he starts the battle in the hidden phase, so on your first turn, you get to see that you have no way to attack him. On enemy phase, he switches states, and then he'll come after you. You can kill him on the counterattack or on the following player phase. Step 2 in building this stage is to present enemies who are a bit more dangerous. The 2 packs of Ninetales in these corners are already active at the start of the battle, so they'll run at you and introduce themselves fairly quickly. They serve to teach you what the promoted kitsune are like in terms of stats, weapons, and mobility. Note that every enemy other than the first one has Beastbane, so their weapons have double might against your Horse, Pegasus, Kenshi, and Wolf units. Things escalate from there. Since this is a route map, you do eventually have to kill every enemy, but they're arranged so that you will naturally go one of 2 ways. Up north is a set of kitsune and Ninetales who don't conceal themselves, but do have a secondary gimmick. They're glass cannons with a life and death skill. After you defeat them, you can cross the river to the west by knocking down this dead tree. Alternatively, you can immediately go west across the bridge. The squad on the far side does use the illusion mechanic, but it does so in perfect synchrony. The whole group is in the same phase, either hidden or not. As a result, the group attacks together, but once you survive that attack, you get a free turn where you can finish off weakened enemies, or heal, or run away, without fear of being attacked. Next is when things get really difficult. Not only does this large northwestern group include a handful of foxes with life and death, half of the group is in one leaf state and half is in the other. You don't get that free counterattack or recovery turn that the southern group gave you anymore, and the enemies whom you can attack on your turn are not the ones who threaten you on the following enemy phase. The boss group is a smaller scale version of the same idea. The actual boss, Kaden, combines the attacking power of the Beaststone Plus with significant enemy phase bulk via Armored Blow and some automatic healing through the skill Even Better. The designers seem to have followed the Mario formula, so why doesn't this work as a level? Well, Kitsune Lair tries to bend the usual mechanics of Fire Emblem, and that often is a way to make a fun and memorable map, but it does so in a way that is downright annoying. The central concept is that through the leaf mechanic, this stage forces you to fight a whole bunch of frail but powerful opponents without being able to mitigate the damage you're about to take on enemy phase by picking off certain enemies on player phase. And compared to all other grounded classes besides their Norian counterparts, the Wolfskins, the enemy Kitsune and Ninetales have significant mobility advantages. They're unimpeded by forests, they take reduced movement penalties from mountain terrain, and a lot of them have passed, so they can go right through your tanks to attack your squishy support units if you're not careful. As best I can tell, the intention is to make you set up a genuine formation, something like a rectangle with armors at the corners, tough melee combatants at the sides, and healers within. You let the fragile enemies crash into your phalanx, then finish them off on player phase, all while keeping a tight formation that shields your most vulnerable units. That's cool. But Fire Emblem is not mechanically built for that. Having to move your army as a block is inconvenient at best. Movement differences between flyers and infantry and cavalry and armors become very pronounced on a stage filled with forests and mountains. There's no batch move function, and against these enemies, one screw up where you leave a single gap can be extremely punishing. It's especially easy to make mistakes when moving your formation because the terrain is not perfectly readable by sight. This is not a sprite-based game where the different types of terrain each use a handful of distinct and recognizable tiles. The map is fully modeled in 3D, and it was made with looks in mind more than visual consistency. Not every woods tile actually has trees on it. You can just barely distinguish woods from the yellow plains if you look closely, since the ground on the woods tiles is darker and more orange. That's how you can tell that this stretch of 3 tiles in the southwest is actually a line of trees. But even that fails in a couple of places. These 2 tiles look pretty dark, but they're plains. And even if the forests are darker rule always held true, it would still be hard to read the terrain when enemies are on it. The difficulty of keeping your army in formation is one issue, but the really insidious thing on this stage is something else entirely. Again, the core idea is to limit your opportunities to attack the enemies, making you take a hit first, then counterattack, and then finish off weakened stragglers in a limited window of vulnerability. That can flow reasonably well, but what happens if you miss? What happens if you miss a lot? The Kitsune get to exploit the defensive terrain here very freely. They are also naturally fast, and therefore naturally very evasive. Ninetails are even faster, and their class receives an innate +10 avoid bonus on top of everything else. So, on the right terrain, enemy avoid can reach as much as 97, enough to overcome the entire base hit rate of effective weapons like the Beast Killer and the Hunter's Knife. What we get from that is an environment where playing safely often means playing very, very slowly. If you're deploying a full army, you'll probably find yourself camping in a static position for several turns in a row, or else kiting the enemies for ages with flyers who can pull them this way and that until you eventually kill everything. Another option is to take the degenerate approach. Just stack a ton of defense on a really bulky unit, like General Benny or Wyvern Lord Xander or someone else along those lines, and have Corrin pair up with them. Then all you have to do is move your one unit around to eventually kill all the enemies, taking breaks to heal with items if necessary. That will be slow, particularly when you have so much defense that the Kitsune don't bother attacking you, so you have to hunt them all down one by one. But it's safe and easy, and it utterly destroys anything challenging about this stage. Who needs a proper formation to defend squishy support units? Just leave those units at home. There are ways to implement the one-man army method more efficiently. Shout out to Master of Arms Beast Killer Odin here. But those really aren't any more interesting, they're just faster. To be fair, this is far from the only map in the Fire Emblem series, or even just in Conquest alone, where there's a solution that is easy and reliable, but also kind of lame. However, if you do choose to play those other maps as intended, they're almost never as ridiculously frustrating as Conquest 19 usually is. Now, I did promise to make this map fun, and it can be. If we study the geography of the stage very closely, we can find a couple of places where we can turn the terrain in our favor. We can force the enemies to stand in open plains or even in the water while we occupy the mountains and the peaks. We can also apply Heartseeker and Benny's Fierce Mian to improve our accuracy dramatically. And we can play in a dynamic style with units zipping around the map and one-rounding the enemies. To pull that off, we must bring the proper units and equipment, and we need our army to be as mobile as possible. We're going to achieve that by converting most of our cavalry into an air force. The real star of this show is Corrin. As a Malignite, he gets to fly around spreading Heartseeker everywhere. When Gunter is supporting him, he will be extremely accurate, and Corrin can pay that forward using his own personal skill. One of our minor objectives on this mission will be to improve Corrin's axe rank. It would be nice if he could eventually wield the bolt axe. Making Xander a Wyvern Lord is the simplest way to solo this map. As a Wyvern rather than a Paladin, he loses his weakness to Beastbane, so he becomes nearly immune to damage. He keeps his D rank in lances, so he can still use the Beast Killer to one-shot most of the enemies. Yes, Xander loses the use of Siegfried by doing this, but he still gets the +4 defense effect from having it in his inventory. What's surprising is that even after this map, giving up Siegfried isn't that big a problem. In chapters 20 and 21, flight is much more important for Xander than anything Siegfried might do. The trade-off between the utility of flight and the combat applications of a 1-2 range sword remains pretty even all the way through chapter 24. Until then, Wyvern Lord Xander is such a good unit that I consider him to have the strongest claim of anyone to the chapter 16 Heart Seal, the last one you could get before chapter 20, even though he only makes use of it for 2 chapters. Silas can use a partner seal to start riding a wyvern of his own. Going this route makes him into an alternate and perhaps better optimized version of Wyvern Lord Xander. With all their skills factored in, Silas tends to be stronger, faster, and more accurate than Xander at the same levels. Silas is somewhat less physically bulky, but that can work to his advantage because fewer enemies here will ignore him. After he's done being a Wyvern Lord, Silas could transition into a 1-2 range physical combat role in the same way that Xander can. I don't think going to Master Ninja through Wyvern Lord is quite as game-breaking as going through Hero for Soul, but the situations where Soul really matters are necessarily ones where you face a chance of death. If you're unwilling to take those risks and you're only using Soul as a way to improve your action economy with free healing, then Strength +2, Lunge, and Rally Defense might be outright better than Strong Riposte, Good Fortune, and Soul. Thus we have 3 new Wyvern Riders who will carry a huge share of the combat duties on this mission. Corrin, Xander, and Silas will be accompanied by a second Malignite in Baruka and, importantly, a Falcon Knight friend in Laszlo. Baruka will mostly do her own thing with Kaze and Charlotte, whereas Laszlo will act as the chief support unit among our 4 flyboys. Soleil and Ophelia will team up whenever they can. Charlotte will support Xander and Baruka, and occasionally will have her rally for the team. Azura is always helpful. Kaze provides useful para bonuses and can fight competently with his hunter's knife. Jakob brings healing staves and defensive auras. Benny is a natural physical tank, though he's a little underleveled. We want to get him promoted quickly. And as previously discussed, Gunter will make Corrin's attacks a lot more reliable. Gunter's only going to be deployed a couple more times, and this is probably the place where he most deserves to be used. Step 1 is to have Corrin fly north onto these mountains to engage the squad of life and death foxes. Mainly, we're trying to put Corrin in a good position to support Benny. We want Benny and Corrin to pick up the support points they need with each other right away, and with a good setup, we can funnel a bunch of experience into Benny, helping him to promote very quickly. Part of that setup is to place Jakob behind Benny and Corrin both. They each benefit from Jakob's inspiration. Laszlo provides crucial rally support that makes this first turn a lot more reliable than it would be otherwise. Because he can fly over mountain and peak tiles, he's able to move in close without putting himself in danger.
Must I restrain myself?
When Charlotte runs north, she has the option to use Rally Strength if it's needed. But if it's not strictly necessary, we want to avoid using it so that Corrin can dual strike for Benny as often as possible. Ophelia stands right next to Xander. The Kitsune in the south will definitely target her because Benny, Xander, and Soleil all have substantially more defense than she does. Finally, having been refreshed by Azura, Silas flies north with his best buddy Kaze. By attacking the paired up Ninetails, he can kill the lead unit now and then the one in back on enemy fields, along with every other member of this little pack. He's surrounded by plains tiles here, not woods or mountains, so his accuracy should be pretty good. Our budget for this challenge does have a little bit of room for skill and luck tonic to help with reliability. A luck tonic could have mitigated some of the risk that Silas is facing here, but our Silas is just a tiny bit shy of the necessary benchmarks to survive every hit from these enemies without any crits, so we spent that money on a defense tonic instead. This is the only turn on which Silas will have any real trouble with accuracy or crit avoidance, so the one reliability tonic we did buy went to Corrin instead. He'll see a lot more combat overall.
Leave it to me. Don't scare me like that. No hard feelings.
Silas has leveled up, but now so does Kaze, slightly ahead of schedule. That's kind of bothersome because he learns lethality, which we do not want to use. of the Kitsune, including this one, can only reach Corrin. For the others who are closer, it's important that Corrin has more effective defense than Benny, since we want Benny to score some kills.
That went well. Here I am. I can help too.
Thank you.
Benny got 42 experience points from that kill. That's what you'd expect for defeating an opponent who was 4 levels higher. But Benny is level 18, and that was an unpromoted enemy at level 19. Surprisingly, the Kitsune here have been given an internal level that adds on top of their displayed level, just like the one that promoted units have normally.
Listen to your elders. It's not your time yet.
I did it!
I'm with you.
We made it! Let's go. Let me try.
You were brave.
Just to keep things straight here, let's mark the 3 Ninetales who are moving. We've almost cleared the entire eastern half of the map, and we can easily pick off the stragglers. We'll start by having Soleil imitate her dad, using a Levin sword that she has no aptitude for, in order to give her partner more experience.
In like the night. That was so cool!
On guard!
Silas rejoins the squad. He'll equip the Blessed Lance, which allows him to passively recover the HP he lost on turn 1. He transfers Kaze to Baruka, since Kaze and Silas have already gotten the support points they need with each other.
We won't give up.
Before we do anything else, Laszlo rallies.
Kill them all.
Let's go.
Corrin attacks, but does not kill this Beaststone Ninetales. He's setting this up for Baruka.
This one's not afraid to die. Watch your back, John! You're lucky I'm here.
Let's see what you've got.
Everything will be all right.
Mission accomplished.
After Baruka's Savage Blow, Benny is able to use Corrin's Dual Strike to kill off the final Kitsune.
I'll protect you. This is my chance.
We're safe now.
He reaches level 20, and with some nice stat gains at that. We're not ready to attack anyone else, so we'll spend the rest of this turn rearranging our squad to prepare for turn 3.
I'll help, no problem.
Be steadfast.
Jakob restores Corrin to full HP. He'll need that later. Silas is currently stuck behind Jakob. If he stays in back, Silas won't be healed by the Blessed Lance, so we need to separate the two of them.
Together.
Fate has paired us.
Silas should hand the Beast Killer over to Gunter, because Gunter wants to use it next. To close out his turn, he separates Gunter from Corrin, giving us one extra unit with shelter to use.
I can help.
Benny runs south. He's going to help intercept the 3 Ninetales who are currently running towards us. Along the way, he can use his Master Seal. The choice is between Great Knight and General. Benny is the only character in the game for whom the general path makes a certain amount of sense because it plays to his strengths, but Great Knight is still better in most contexts, even for him. The higher movement counts for a lot. Since Benny will marry Perry, a Great Knight promotion will eventually also give him elbow room and shelter for no extra cost. That said, this particular stage is not most contexts. Great Knight would make Benny weak to the Beastbane Kitsune. He'd still be able to take a hit or two thanks to his tremendous raw defense stat, but he wouldn't be anything like the Iron Wall he becomes in General. So although we might prefer Great Knight in the future, General is best right now. We're not keeping Benny all the way to endgame, so short-term greed makes sense. It's worth mentioning that the trick Benny and Perry can pull, where they marry each other and promote into Great Knight to inherit their partner's skills, would actually be counterproductive. Their son can do that himself. If we want to maximize his potential, we want his parents to go down their separate promotion paths, General and Paladin, in order to pass down the exclusive skills. While a few of our foot units go south, our flyers can cross the river and start fighting the toughest group of enemies right now. Charlotte transfers Jakob to Silas so that Jakob can tag along, and she rallies to boost the strength of Gunter and Corrin in particular. Still carrying the Blessed Lance, Silas flies over the central peaks, just beyond enemy range. His goal is to drop Jakob onto a tile where he will be close enough to provide inspiration, but not close enough to get killed. This mountain tile is difficult for the enemies to reach. All we have to do is block the mountain tile to Jakob's left, and then he'll be totally safe. His auras cover 3 other squares that are closer to the enemies, including that adjoining mountain.
Be careful.
Azura's singing has just taken her to level 25. That's when she learns Voice of Peace, an aura that reduces the physical attack power of nearby enemies. This isn't especially helpful for Azura herself, since a skill that effectively gives her +2 defense is not going to patch up her horrific physical bulk. However, it has some modest utility in supporting the team, and it can be surprisingly powerful as inheritance for her kids.
You have my support.
How shall we
Veruca brings
proceed?
Kaze down south, and she switches before transferring so that she's the one who ends up paired with Gunter. That way, when Gunter goes back to the north to join Corrin, he can take Veruca with him. We didn't really have to get Gunter involved in this maneuver at all, but by doing so and having Azura sing to him, we've gotten him a 6-point accuracy boost.
This one's not afraid to die.
Gunter leaves Veruca behind so that she might carry Charlotte later.
We've got this.
Now Corrin can deliver Gunter to that mountain tile we wanted to occupy. Gunter drops Corrin to the north on the woods tile. That does leave the next mountain tile open, and we'd rather not have to fight enemies on that terrain, but the woods have a lower movement cost, so more of the Kitsune would be able to attack Gunter if we left the woods unoccupied. To keep Gunter safe, we need to prevent dual strikes and follow-up attacks. In particular, he needs to be strong enough to one-round this Beaststone Ninetails, who has 50 total physical bulk. Gunter doesn't benefit from elbow room here, but he does get triple mic'd on his Beast Killer, along with +2 damage from Jakob's inspiration, and another +2 when he's leading thanks to Corrin, -2 for the mountain terrain. So that's 58 attack when he's backed by Corrin. Even 56 without Corrin is more than enough for Gunter's needs. However, 56 attack on dual strikes will not be enough for Corrin's sake. We need to give Gunter even more power by providing him with a strength boosting pair-up partner. Corrin must use Gunter's dual strike to kill this Beast Rune Ninetails, who has 36 HP and 23 defense. Corrin has 36 displayed attack after Laszlo's rally, which means 41 when he's leading, factoring in Jakob's inspiration and Gunter's personal skill. That means Corrin's own attack will deal 18 damage, 41 minus 23, and Gunter's 60 attack covers the other 18 hit points with 1 attack to spare. Sometimes Laszlo's 1-point strength rally is a hell of a thing.
Have no fear.
Soleil moves to bait the incoming Ninetales. This time, she uses a real weapon.
I live to serve.
Sorry. Shall we?
Age and guile. How disappointing.
Down south, the first two Ninetales will always move to these positions to engage Soleil together.
Oh, here to serve.
No quarter. Still got it. Allow me to join you. Too slow!
Thank you.
You will not fail.
How'd you do that?
How disappointing.
The third Kitsune in the southern group can end up either slightly north of his compatriots or slightly south of them. Either way can work, but south is preferable. Level 15 gave Gunter the Armored Blow skill, which reduces the physical damage he takes from counterattacks when he initiates combat. This isn't that helpful in the hands of the player because you have a lot of ways to mitigate the damage you take on your own turn, but it's still nice to have. You can think of it as a skill that slightly broadens the range of targets your unit can safely attack without extra help. We did get the better arrangement of enemies down here. None of them are on defensive terrain and we'll be able to apply Heartseeker to all of them. When the left-hand Ninetale stands 2 spaces to the north instead, he gets the avoid bonus from the woods, and he prevents us from maneuvering Corrin onto the ideal square. Corrin is our second source of Heartseeker besides Ophelia, and we need 2 to cover everyone.
Listen to your elders.
Corrin gets down there with help from Gunter, who gives him extra movement.
I'm with you.
Gunter can drop Corrin downward next to 2 of the Ninetales. This maneuver not only applies Corrin's Heartseeker, but also puts Gunter in position to dual strike for Benny.
Allow me to join you. Too slow!
You were brave.
Before we make our next move, we should check what damage Silas can do when supported by
Accept my
Corrin.
help.
Ideally, he kills this Ninetales, but he uses Corrin's dual strike to do so. We therefore want that Ninetales to have between 19 and 22 HP. We can get that chip damage from Ophelia, who is able to stand next to the third Ninetales when she attacks.
My foes should fear me.
In this case, fire won't cut it, but Nosferatu will.
I believe you. We're not done yet.
so Lei gets to do exactly the same thing she did on turn 2. Attack pathetically with the 11 sword so that Ophelia can pick up the kill for her.
Here we go! No mercy! Beautiful! Aww.
Now we'll bring Silas down to finish off the remaining Ninetales, but he's not coming alone. Jakob accompanies him, both to bring his healing powers down to the southern group, and also to vacate his mountain tile, which is a very useful position.
I'm here to help. This is my chance! I won't fail again.
Silas learns Lunge. That might prove useful later, but it won't help us for the rest of this mission. Silas will not stay here in range of the enemies across the bridge. Rather, we want him to go back to the north to join up with Xander and Laszlo and Baruka, bringing Kaze with him in place of Jakob.
Trust me.
I'm with you.
Be careful.
Silas flies to this water tile, right next to the mountain that Jakob was on. He equips his Blessed Lance for more healing, and then he drops Kaze there. Kaze is only vulnerable from one side. So long as he doesn't kill the first enemy who attacks him, he will only have to take one hit. That said, we do want him to deal a large amount of damage, and therefore we'd like him to use the Hunter's Knife. This is when lethality becomes a problem. With 23 skill, there's a 5% chance for him to score an instant kill, and that would suck. He could use a bronze weapon to prevent that from happening, but then we'd be forced to rely on an 80% dual strike later on. The balance of probabilities makes it preferable to risk lethality. We want Kaze to fight using Baruka's support, but we also want Baruka to bring Charlotte over safely. To pull that off, we can't just have Baruka fly south of Kaze and switch, since non-flyers like Charlotte can't stand on peaks. The way to do it is to transfer Charlotte through Laszlo.
Must I restrain myself?
Laszlo delivers Charlotte to her future husband, and then he rallies. Yes, this does raise Kaze's lethality chance, but we like the extra accuracy.
Let me help you. You're okay, right? I'll help, no problem. Oh no, are you hurt? Kill them all. Amateur.
Kaze hit, he didn't kill, and he didn't die to a crit, so we're happy. That's almost the last substantial risk we're taking on this entire mission. We're going to see just 6 rounds of combat that have less than a 99.6% chance of going our way, and our total success rate for everything we're about to do will be a little over 87%. Considering that we still have 16 enemies to kill on Kitsune Lair of all maps, I'd call that pretty good.
Chosen heroine arrives.
Once again, Jakob restores Corrin to full HP, this time using Mend.
Trust me.
Age before beauty?
Before he shelters Azura, Gunter gives away the Beast Killer. He has no more need of it. Corrin returns the Beast Killer to Silas. Because Kaze used his hunter's knife, Corrin's bronze axe can kill on its own without depending on Silas's dual strike.
Please, accept my help.
Are you scared?
Back in the south, we'll do a little more maneuvering to maximize our singing.
Stiff upper lip. I can help. Be careful.
It's worth noting that although Jakob appears to be in danger, the foxes in this next group will all go into illusion mode at the start of enemy phase. Since they can't attack him in that state, they won't even start moving. The only one left down here is Soleil, who can simply wait next to Azura for some free healing. Up north, all of these enemies are also about to go leaf mode, so we have an opportunity to attack them on our turn without facing any reprisals on their turn.
No hesitation. Let's go.
Who's next?
On my honor as a knight.
Silas lunges the Beast Stone Ninetails, not the Beast Rune one because we want to save that one for later. The Beast Rune makes him tougher, and that in turn makes him a great punching bag for Xander and Charlotte, and Kaze and Baruka.
Finally!
You have my aid.
Xander hits that Ninetails once with his Brass Naginata.
You're too fragile for this. Made it.
Unlike the southern enemies, the two northern Kitsune do move closer because they're already active. They've approached Laszlo because he's the person they would hurt the most. We'll deal with these two by pulling them across the stream and fighting them one by one, while most of our team faces the other group of enemies.
Out of my way.
Baruka waits at the eastern shore with Kaze behind her. Xander drops Charlotte next to Baruka so that the two of them can finally start battling together. Now we'll set up down south. As we do that, we can have Azura sing a few times.
How troubling.
I live to serve.
Oh, looky! An enemy!
Well, how irksome.
Ophelia, here to
Ophelia pulls Soleil and drops her into the water to the south. This is not a safe position for Ophelia right now. We can protect her by blocking the space to her left, which will make it impossible to attack her more than once. To achieve that, Corrin pairs up with Gunter, who rides into the woods west of Ophelia and switches. Corrin will be the focal point for the enemy phase onslaught, although Soleil and Ophelia will attract some attention too. One concern here is that Corrin might be too durable. With Gunter behind him, he has 31 displayed defense, plus 2 from Jakob's inspiration. We want him to be attacked by this Beast Rune Kitsune, who only has 33 attack. 31 plus 2 defense is too much. We need to make Corrin weaker. To rectify that problem, Corrin temporarily ditches the Grim Yato, removing its plus 2 defense and resistance buff. Silas flies down too. He's fully healed, so he delivers the Blessed Lance to Benny. Benny steps one space closer to the bridge. Not only will he get some healing from the Blessed Lance, he'll also benefit from Azura's healing Descan. Last up is Laszlo, who simply flies down and rallies.
Reminds me of the old days.
That went well.
Celestial blessings. Glad to help. Did you see that?
Show me what you've got.
Done.
Let's go.
I'm glad you're safe.
Remain focused.
I'm with you. Let me try.
Stand firm. It's not your time yet.
We've thinned out this troop of foxes, and many of the survivors have been greatly weakened. Now we can destroy the rest, starting in the north. Charlotte wants to weaken but not kill this Ninetales. She can do that with her Bolt Axe. It's best if she uses Xander's support, not Baruka's.
Shall we? Don't move!
We set up a kill for Baruka, who lunges
I'll
for it.
support you.
No hesitation.
Too easy. I'm not worried.
Soleil can repeat her Levin sword antics to generate more tome experience for Ophelia.
Celestial blessings. Leave some for me. You have
Azura
this.
sings to her so she can do it again.
Let's do this as a team. Here we go. Glad to help. Nice work. Huh?
At level 5, Ophelia learns Vengeance. If this were Awakening, that would be an amazing skill to have on a sorcerer with Vantage. In Fates, it's almost inconsequential, partly because Vengeance no longer works with Nosferatu, and partly because Brave Weapons don't work on enemy phase, but mostly because its activation rate has been nerfed. The multiplier on the skill stat was cut down from 2 to 1.5 between games. Moreover, the raw skill stat tends to be lower in Fates. In Awakening, you could realistically achieve 50 skill, enough to activate Vengeance on every attack, but in Fates you don't see skill stats much higher than 35 or so at endgame. However, the spirit of Vengeance Vantage builds lives on. We just use skills that boost damage directly instead of relying on Vengeance.
Have no fear.
Anyway, Benny uses Corrin's support to pick off the unpaired Ninetales. Benny only has to reach level 5, and we have plenty of time to get him there, so we're not too worried about feeding experience to him now that he's promoted. Still, he's the lowest level unit we have, bar Gunter, so he converts kills to XP more efficiently than everyone else.
Thank you.
We can do this together.
Silas is a different story, since this is going to be his last real mission. The only one left for him is his paralog. But if we can get him up to level 8 here, that might produce slightly better stats on his daughter, and it'll give him access to rally defense for some additional utility. With these last two enemies, we'll try to farm more axe experience on Corrin. First, Ophelia attacks the remaining Ninetales using Nosferatu. It's important to hit it harder than fire can.
I'm here to help. Let me try. This will be enjoyable.
Jakob follows with fire.
I believe it. This is my chance.
Corrin attains D rank in axes already.
Let us begin.
We want to give this kill to Xander, and we want him to use Laszlo's dual strike for it. Laszlo hits for 9 using his forged bronze lance, or just 4 when tag teaming, and Xander's iron lance hits for 8. We need to find 1 extra point of damage somewhere. The iron lance has 7 might, whereas the bronze axe plus 1, which Xander is eligible to use, has 8. If we can trade that around to Xander, we'll be good to go.
We've got this.
Corrin passes it along through Ophelia. He can also take a moment to retrieve the Yato from the convoy. Gunter weakens the Kitsune to the northwest. This will allow Laszlo to take that kill without facing a counterattack.
Be careful. May I? Let's go. Phew. Don't worry yourself.
Xander picks up the forged bronze axe, then finishes the job.
I'll help. Stay strong. Extraordinary.
We've beaten every enemy outside of Caden's retinue. Now we have to trek up there to face him. We'll try to do that fairly quickly in terms of turn count anyway. The maneuvers along the way are going to be fairly complicated, in part because we want to make sure Azura and Jakob get their support points, so this is going to take a moment.
Trust me. I'm not worried.
Allow me to join you.
Jakob stops here, where we can shelter Azura, then pull her and have her sing to him again.
Together we shall prevail.
I'll protect you.
Benny gives up his brass naginata and forged steel lance for Silas's beast killer.
prepared us.
I live to serve.
Come on, smile for me.
Well, how irksome.
We can do this together. Let us begin.
Xander takes Silas's javelin. He'll need it soon.
Is there a plan?
Over in the northeast, Charlotte must knock down this tree to make a bridge for herself. She needs to be careful about her weapon selection because the bolt axe won't do the job. To help Charlotte keep up, we'll want to drop Kaze right at the end of her movement range. Then she'll be able to pair up with him and he will carry her west to rejoin the rest of the team.
Out of my way.
With Azura centered in our formation, we get a nice amount of free healing. Now we do a second round of maneuvers. For our infantry to navigate the woods efficiently, our mounted units will have to help.
Stand firm.
Gunter gives Azura an extra point of movement that enables her to reach Corrin.
Oh,
Have no fear.
You have my support.
Jakob heals Corrin one last time, and then Corrin flies west over the mountains. The peak tiles here allow us to get fairly close to Caden and friends without entering their attack range.
let's see what you've got.
Don't worry yourself.
Careful out there.
Just keep on smiling.
We're not alone. No quarter.
Ophelia can just barely reach Silas, who carries her ahead. Kaze offers Charlotte the same service.
I'll help, no problem.
I'm with you.
Our flyers have been arranged to optimize rally coverage. Charlotte can boost the strength of all but Corrin. She covers Baruka and Benny, Silas, Laszlo, and Xander.
I won't let you
On the
down.
tile northwest of Charlotte, Laszlo provides strength, skill, and speed to the whole Air Force.
Here we go.
Azura sinks to Laszlo from the right, and then Xander shelters her.
Everything's okay.
This not only pulls her out of danger, but also enables Azura to sing to Xander, giving him another action and some useful stat boosts. Now our flyers are primed and ready. Corrin leads the way, attacking the southernmost Ninetales from the southeast using his fire tone.
This one's not afraid to die.
This is my chance.
Strength plus 2 will be much appreciated in the future. Two spaces west of Corrin, there's a peak tile. Any flyer who waits south of that tile can only be attacked from the right.
Protect you.
Laszlo stations himself there.
We're not alone.
Fascinating.
Xander flies to Laszlo's right, shielding him. He attacks using the javelin along with Laszlo's dual strike.
I'll be strong for you. How about a two-step? Not enough.
Xander also learns Strength +2.
Everything will be fine.
Silas goes above Xander to finish off the first enemy. While he's there, he makes Xander equip a brass naginata instead of the javelin, improving Xander's defenses. Because the tile that Silas has left is a peak, he will only be exposed from the north.
It's over.
Silas has opened a lane for Baruka. She flies north and switches to Benny, who lands right in between all three enemies. He's strong enough to kill the next Ninetales by himself.
We survived.
Both of the enemies we could attack are now dead. Caden and the other Ninetales are hidden, so all we can do now is let them crash into us on enemy phase. The way that will happen is that Caden will go first, and he will check all of his targets: Benny, Silas, Corrin, and Xander. Of those, the person he can hurt the most is Silas, who only has 29 defense. Compare Xander's 32 + 2, Corrin's 31, and Benny's 36. So Caden will end his turn right above Silas, and Silas will be completely surrounded. He won't be a valid target anymore. With that in mind, we can evaluate what the other Ninetales will do. He doubles Xander and Benny, but not Corrin, so you might expect him to maximize his damage by attacking Xander, whom he can reach because he has Pass. But that's not what will happen. Can you tell why?
Let's do this as a team.
Allow me to join you.
Celestial blessing.
This should be Silas's last level up ever. It's a good one. The Ninetales goes for Corrin and not Xander because he thinks he gets to use Caden's dual strike. Gunter says no.
Payback time!
You're lucky I'm here.
This will be our final turn. We'll have a few chances to earn some additional support points as we chip down the last two enemies. The most important question that remains is this: who deserves the experience points from the final kills? Number 1 is Soleil, who is close to level 5. If she can get there, she'll learn Soul, and then she'll be ready to leave the hero class forever. That would be a very good thing. Her dagger-wielding classes are far better than hero, and we'd like her to start training up her dagger rank as soon as possible.
We meet again.
Xander gives his brass naginata to Azura so that her dual strikes can be weaker. Then he pulls Charlotte, who can attack with her bolt axe for 0 damage. She doesn't earn experience from this, but she does get support points with Xander.
No Corrin.
You may rely on me.
This attack should give Jakob and Azura enough support points to hit the cap for this mission, and it should also increase Jakob's tome rank to D.
We can do this. Let me help.
Let's go!
I'll protect you.
We'll have Baruka take the first kill, saving the boss for Soleil. In just a couple more battles, we're aiming to raise Baruka to level 15 so that she'll learn Trample and pass it down to her kid.
I won't let you down.
The difficulty with Caden is that his avoid rate is ridiculous, but we can cut that down by applying the talents of both Ophelia and Benny in the correct way.
We have no choice.
Silas flies up by Laszlo and switches, then Ophelia takes Benny. She switches back, and Benny drops her right next to Caden. Now Heartseeker and Fierce Mian both apply, so Caden's avoid drops by 30.
I'm with you.
Corrin attacks. Draconic Hex will reduce Caden's stats even further.
Remain focused.
Kaze pairs up with Soleil to help her through the woods.
Oh, looky! An enemy!
Soleil goes for the kill using Laszlo's Dual Strike. That will get Laszlo very close to level 8, so he will almost unlock Rally Speed.
I will protect you. Here we go.
I'm too gorgeous to die.
Oh, my goodness.
Caden drops the Beastone Plus, which is largely an upgrade over the regular Beastone, although its defensive penalties are more severe and it inflicts a strength and skill debuff after use. Unfortunately, we will never be able to use it. Neither of our Wolfskin characters will ever reach B rank in Stones. We can't sell it either, so it will sit in our convoy for all time. That's the end of the mission. This place was fairly harrowing, but we were able to crush the first wave without too much trouble. Then, by using the terrain to our advantage, applying avoid-reducing skills and inspiration, and employing pair-up and tag team stances effectively, we were able to punch the teeth out of the leaf mechanic pretty quickly. In the end, it barely mattered at all.
We had no choice.
I know, but
I don't exactly love how the rewrite treats this whole chapter, but I do think it's interesting that Corrin now places the blame for this tragedy firmly on Caden. He has to rationalize it for himself, whereas in the unaltered script, Azura basically makes Corrin's excuses for him.
No.
Azura still does come up with her own rationalizations, but now she comes off looking a lot more conniving than she ever was in the original game.
No need to worry.
Why?
Oh,
Huh?
listen.
These last few lines from Azura haven't been changed at all, but the original script turns the conversation towards Corrin's status as the chosen wielder of Yato, whereas the rewrite chooses to reiterate how Corrin committed himself to this path, for good or ill, in Chapter 15.
Azura. Oh.
Well,
We're closing in on an epic clash with our estranged siblings as we march toward Hoshido proper, but we're not there yet. Next in our path is a desert territory where we shall face a trial by fire. Or rather, a trial by wind. Should be a wild one. I'll see you there.